The Eagles have landed, trademark, on an extension for Sirianni, who shook off a supernatural funk to bring a championship back to Philly. Now,
right when I think I hate you, I love you all over again.
I just snuck that in there. I'm big on NASA trademarks. They really dropped the ball there. I snatched it up. He's 48-20, so get this. This is how good he's been. You've kind of seen this one, right? Highest win percentage, minimum 20 games. Since Sirianni joined the Eagles, so we've only gotten, obviously, Kansas City and Reed.
That used to have Doug McDermott on it, but you shortened it to 2 people because you don't think he's a good Sean McDermott.
Yeah,
you don't think he's a good coach.
He is a good coach.
Yeah,
that wouldn't have been bad.
But here's the graphic that you might have to adjust your screens. Highest win percentage since Vince Lombardi left the Packers. It's John Madden at 739, and then Sirianni at 701. So are you ready to call him elite? Since he's basically John Madden.
Yes. How can we not call him elite?
This is the weird part of it.
Because you don't like his personality? I mean, really? There have been other volatile coaches. Buddy Ryan in Philly was a volatile coach. His son Rex, who, has some success. Kind of a volatile personality and all. Like, this guy wins. That's what I want from my coach. I mean, I like X's and O's, whatever, but if you're a coach that delegates, you don't know X's and O's. And I'm not saying he doesn't, but you got an offensive coordinator and a defensive coordinator, and every year you get the right guys, and you just run the show.
The guys they got last year, he wasn't allowed to pick.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
I don't care, Nick. Seriously, he is the head coach. They were 4-11. 4-11 the year, or 4-12 before he took over. All right, they won 4 games. The 3 seasons before he took over, they were 22 and not in the 3 seasons. They were 22-25. 22-25. He gets there immediately. They win 9. They go 9-8 from 4 wins. Then 2 14-win seasons, 2 Super Bowl appearances, 1 Super Bowl win, a shellacking of one of the best teams we've seen.
Well, that was over. Yeah.
Right? And then on top of all that, Jalen Hurts, who when Sirianni took over, people weren't sure he was even a starter in the NFL. And he turns him into an MVP candidate. I mean, and I'm not like a huge Sirianni fan.
Well, it doesn't
I'm
sound
just
like
saying.
it. I mean,
I'm just saying, like,
all right, can I ask,
I'm trying to be objective. The dude wins.
Can I ask a question? And this isn't a quiz, I promise. I'm trying to get a gauge. There's 32 coaches in the league.
I knew you were going to do this.
Give me just an idea. I'm not asking where he ranks. I promise.
I thought you were doing
that.
coach
No,
trade.
No, I'm not going to do that. I might do something similar in a minute. But how many elite coach? Like with quarterbacks, like we're like there's
this
so many.
This dude's elite, man.
Are there 12 elite coaches?
No.
Okay.
He is near the top.
All right. So
I get it. I'm not calling him Sean McVay, who's this genius.
No, I got you.
But there's something he's got that wins.
Here is my. Don't put it up yet, Dust. Personal list of, in order, if I were granted ownership of the 33rd team in the NFL, it's expansion, and it's like, hey,
you get to draft a coach.
You can with the first pick of the expansion draft, you can pick a coach, not a player. Everyone's available. You know what I mean? Like, so here are guys that I would take before I took Sirianni. Okay?
Yeah.
So and I'm curious where you guys disagree. So here's 5 guys. So I would take Andy Reid. I would take Sean McVay. Wilds doesn't like Kyle Shanahan. That's fine.
I might start.
You might like him now because their team's got a soft schedule. I would take Jim Harbaugh. I would take Mike Tomlin. Let me just, even if, rather than parse the individual guys, any of that feel disrespectful to Nick Sirianni? Me having those 5 guys
Not disrespectful. What I say about the Harbaugh and Tomlin that they have over Sirianni is just a much bigger body of work.
Yeah.
Like, Sirianni's been head coach 4 years.
Yes.
You do want to see more before you can put him ahead of a Tomlin
So there's 5. I've got 5 more.
Okay. McVay has done some, like, viral videos that we loved, where it's like, wow, he can recall a play with Peter Schrager. He's got the same hardware as Sirianni.
Yeah,
one appearance
That's
that you
all that
lost,
matters.
and one
Okay,
that you won.
hold on a second. Wait, can I just say something real quick? It's certainly not all that matters.
Winning?
Doug, hold on. Just the hardware is all. Doug
No,
Peterson has
the
a
winning.
Super Bowl. He just got fired.
Doug
Yeah,
Peterson
appearance.
ain't 48-20.
No. I understand. Hold on. So this is where, before I expand the list and make you even angrier, this is where I can get frustrated. Brew, you agree with me? Sean McVay is you use Sean McVay as the example, saying I'm not saying Sirianni is Sean McVay, and now you're saying, well, why is Sirianni not Sean McVay?
But what I'm saying is winning the record is all that matters.
Okay, and I guess what I'm saying
he's done
is,
it with multiple
if I
coordinators.
were picking a head coach, I would not simply say, hey, to my assistant GM, hey, print me off an Excel spreadsheet of their records, and we'll take the one with the best record. I think there is a little more nuance to it. I think you agree by the fact that you said I'm not saying he's Sean McVay. That was your example, not mine.
And I mean also in terms like there are different types of coaches.
Yes, I think
there are different. I don't think Dan Campbell is Sean McVay in a certain sense, but Dan Campbell has proven so far to be a great coach.
I'm glad you said Dan Campbell, because he's another one of the coaches I would take over Sirianni. Here's the next 5. I would rather have Kevin O'Connell, Matt LaFleur, Pete Carroll, Dan Campbell, and Sean Payton over Sean McVay. Again, over Sirianni. I always do that. My apologies. Does that feel disrespectful? Is there any name on the list you're like, that is an affront?
Well, what has Matt LaFleur done?
What's Matt LaFleur's winning percentage, Josh? If we're going to do the winning percentage
he
thing,
didn't win a Super Bowl
I bet it's within 5 percentage points of Sirianni.
He's had a much better quarterback.
Yeah, he won 13 games every year with Rodgers. They then went back to they went 8 and 9, and then they went back to the playoffs with Jordan Love. I mean, Josh, you can just tell me in my ear. I guarantee he has above a 60% win percentage. 65%. Sirianni is 70%, so it's within 5%. Just like I said.
But he's also had a much better quarterback in his prime, Aaron Rodgers. All right, and I'm not look. Yeah, but to me, this doesn't. Pete Carroll, I would question him.
That's Wild's hardware argument. Been to one.
Yeah, but he's had much more coaching, many more chances to win. More than one Super Bowl.
All right.
And Carroll had some bad teams earlier in his career. Peyton has had some bad years. I'm just saying,
but do you actually? So here's my thing, and then I guess
if coaching is sitting,
I just have honorable mention.
If coaching is taking a written test of X's and O's, and I'm just judging Sirianni from what I see from afar on the X's and O's, then sure, you can put a lot of these guys and maybe some others ahead of him. That's not what coaching is. Coaching is getting your players to play to their maximum ability. That's what it is. And he does it.
So I guess I know he has had great results. I am more so let me ask the last one. Wilds. I have Mike Vrabel there.
Oh no. You can't put Vrabel ahead of him.
Who would you rather have coach the New England Patriots?
Trick question.
It's not a trick question.
Well, Vrabel played for the Patriots, so I got a little bit of a soft spot.
What is the rationale for putting Mike Vrabel ahead of Nick Sirianni?
I think that
vibes. Honestly, it's just a vibe.
It's not vibes.
What's wrong with Sirianni's vibes? They win Super Bowl.
It's not just not just vibes. This is like the chasing the ghost of assigning credit in professional sports, and are the Eagles is the biggest reason for the Eagles' success Jalen Hurts' leadership, the tush-push, his ability? Is it Saquon's unbelievable year? Is it Howie Roseman's drafting and roster construction? Is it the great head coach? Is it noteworthy to me that there were on this show one football season ago, we all kicked around and said it might be smart for them to fire the guy. And then during last football season, after the 3rd week of the year, we all said, I think they're going to fire the guy. And then they ripped off this unbelievable run. Was that Sirianni getting way better? Or was that Jalen Hurts getting to another level and Saquon having what was close to the greatest running back season ever?
Is it fair when they go through the supernatural funk? It's like, when the supernatural funk happens, it's not Jason Kelsey's fault, and it's not
Right.
Jalen Hurts' fault.
Where was
It's not
Hurts and
Howie
Kelsey's
Roseman's
leadership
fault.
at?
It really falls on Sirianni. Then when they flip it around and go on a crazy run, well, it's Howie Roseman.
No.
And,
So that's
and
What
why I
other
don't-
coach in the
that's why-
league do you not give credit for his team's success?
What do you mean?
Like, you apparently don't give Sirianni credit. You give it to the GM.
John
You give it
Harbaugh.
to the players.
John Harbaugh, who was on my honor.
He doesn't get any success, any credit for the
Well,
success?
I give it to overwhelmingly to Lamar and then to the front office for the draft and the roster. I just picked one out of a guy that I think most of the success goes to Sean McDermott.
Do you think Harbaugh's a good coach, John Harbaugh?
Yeah, I think he's a good coach.
And Sean McDermott, you don't give him credit either?
I
doesn't
think
get a ton of credit. He's got the third active.
He's a defensive coach. That defense is always good under him, even when they've
he doesn't
lost
get
a
a
lot
ton
of
of
players.
credit,
He
though.
does. No, he doesn't get a ton of
He
credit,
should.
and I think
I thought he could have been fired. To your point about
Yes,
Sirianni,
and-
because it's not always firing a guy that's a bad coach. It just might need a different voice.
So,
or
but
different culture.
here's I guess the other, to answer your guys' question about the funk. I do think it is instructive if the people who are closer to it than we are clearly had a lot of the same questions about him that we did. They talked about firing him. Yeah. They wouldn't let him pick his own staff. That happened. So when you're saying does it do anything, does he get any credit for what they did at the end of the year? In my eyes, 100% he got a lot of credit because he went from, in my eyes, a legitimate detriment to them. A bad coach that was hurting them to now, I think he's pretty clearly a good coach. Do I think I would rather have him than any of those 13 names I listed? No. Do I think he's elite, which to me means one of the 5 or 6 best coaches? Absolutely not. And I don't even think if you put pencil to paper, you would have him as one of the 5 or 6 best. I think we give him the title because he's the defending Super Bowl champion and he has the
Not
great record.
just that. That's the thing. And it wasn't. I'd see it if he took over a team that was already good.
The Eagles.
They won 4 games the year before he got
so
there.
that's. Can I ask you a question?
With the same quarterback.
Do you think Andrew Luck took over a terrible team? They won 2 games the year before he got there, but they had been to the playoffs every single.
That's why I went into the 3-year thing. They had a 3-year span where they went 9-7, 9-7, 4-12.
Hold on, if we're going to really do it. And they had a 4-year span where they win the Super Bowl. The next year, win a playoff
the 3
game.
years after that, they didn't do anything.
No, well, they won a playoff game. They made both the 9 and 7 years they made the playoffs. One of the years they won a playoff game, right?
So why'd they only win 4 games before he got there?
Because I think that it all fell apart on him that year. But the idea that he took over this moribund franchise
well, nobody said that. I just said it was a team that won 4 games the year before.
Yeah, but it was. But
and then 2 years later, he had them in the Super Bowl.
So yes.
With a quarterback that people thought couldn't play in the NFL as a starter.
They won a Super Bowl 4 years before they hired him and 4 years after they hired him. Right? That's what they did?
No, but they had a different quarterback. The improvement of Jalen Hurts, which obviously Jalen gets a ton of credit for. But it is true, would you agree, that people question whether or not he could even be a franchise quarterback?
100%.
And Sirianni has to get some credit because there have been several offensive coordinators working with him, and Sirianni's the one constant. I'm just saying, at the end of the day, it is your accomplishments that matter in a lot of jobs. And this is one of them. And the dude accomplishes, so far he's accomplished a lot.
He's
absolutely
accomplished a lot, and you can't take it away from him. I still think there's a lot of coaches that not only do I think I would rather have, I think other people at this table would rather have, that don't have the accomplishments. That you watch football every weekend, you're like, I think that they are more impactful and that I have more proof of concept of that they can work in multiple situations. And so
when did they start doing the tush push?
With him.
3 years ago.
Oh.
But that's a Jalen Hurts thing.
Yeah, but Jalen Hurts wasn't doing it before Sirianni.
Jalen Hurts wasn't the quarterback before Sirianni, bro.
But I'm saying, Jalen Hurts, has he done that his whole career?
No, I mean, if we're going to say Nick Sirianni.
I'm just saying he decided we're going to start running this play. And no one in the NFL has been able to stop it. To the point where they want to Wilt Chamberlain him.
Wilt Chamberlain
and change the rules.
They're not Wilt Chamberlain.
He came up with the what?
Who was
Jason Kelsey. They kept rolling after Jason Kelsey
retired.
Wilt's coach?
I don't remember. We don't say they changed the rules to stick it to Wilt's coach. We say they changed the rules to stick it to Wilt.
But
this is a Jalen Hurts play. This is a Jalen Hurts play.
Really? Sirianni has nothing to do with it.
No, I'm not. Come on.
Why haven't all the other coaches decided, you know what, let's run this play?
Because they don't have Jalen Hurts.
They got Josh Allen, and they don't work. Does it work?
Play.
Ask the Chiefs. When the Chiefs play up against Josh Allen, they mac him. When Jalen is in and Sirianni are doing it, they back up.
Sirianni's not doing it.
Sirianni is doing it.
So Sirianni's not doing it.
Yes, he is.
Hey, man, I'm saying you got to get
You can do it, guys, and they do it.
If you gonna rip it, and again, I'm not a Sirianni fan.
You clearly
but if you're gonna rip him,
bro, when did I rip him?
I'm just stating facts.
When did I rip him?
You rip him since we started the show, since the dude's been a head coach.
Yes, and then I gave him his credit when they won the Super Bowl. But I am not going to. I did. Check the tape.
You
the day
grudgingly
of the show.
probably
yes,
said,
begrudgingly.
Okay,
it is begrudgingly. It is begrudgingly.
This is not just 1 year. This is 4 years of success.
Okay,
incredible success.
Wait, okay.
Incredible.
Now
and he don't have Patrick Mahomes.
Hold on. Now
he don't have Patrick Mahomes.
Now I am going to push back for a second.
Here we go.
Fine.
So 4 years of incredible success. The first year, he had the exact year that you were saying was part of a down.
No, but it was a 5-win improvement. So don't shift things up.
Hold on. Okay.
They went from 4 wins to 9.
So, right. They won the exact number of games and made the playoffs and lost in the first round the same way they did 2 years before he got there.
What about the year before they got there? Because I ain't playing these mixing things up. The year before they got there, why did Doug Peterson even get fired?
Because it all fell apart. It all fell apart.
Okay. Who rebuilt it?
I do not think Nick Sirianni rebuilt it.
Really?
Really? Really?
Why are we paying head coaches?
I think some.
Seriously, why are we paying head coaches?
Brew, let's do the same thing with pre and post Zach Taylor. Let's do that.
Well, he brought in a guy named Joe Burrow.
Okay, right.
Who's better than Jalen Hurts. People never question whether Joe Burrow could be a franchise quarterback.
No, I agree with that, Brew, and I think also
it just ain't fair. You don't want to give the dude any credit for winning. Every single season.
It's not that I don't want to give him credit. I just think those 13 guys are better than him.
Fine, but you don't like his personality. You've said it yourself. You think he's a doofus, I think is the word of choice.
Yeah, but you know what? So I'll meet you halfway. As long as he's the defending Super Bowl champion, the doofus label is removed. He's clearly not a doofus. I was wrong about that. However, to have the whiplash of he probably should be fired to he's an elite head coach based off one season, that season where the quarterback took a leap, Saquon, which you called, had one of the greatest running back seasons ever, the defensive coordinator that he was not allowed to hire transformed the defense, and we're like, now he's a genius? I just don't buy it.
Nick, that's not fair because we've seen coaches fired that we knew weren't bad coaches. J.B. Bickerstaff could have won Coach of the Year, was fired.
Yeah.
Kevin in Cleveland, the name escapes me. I voted for him for Coach of the Year. The Cavs coach.
Oh, okay.
Fired.
Well,
all right.
The championship coaches got fired.
Championship coaches, coaches of the year have gotten fired.
Yeah, they were fired.
You know, so I thought Thibodeau, if they hadn't made this run, he could have got fired. Not because he's a bad coach, because they just needed a change of culture and voice.
Got fired.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.